I'm Ilcha Acevski, Master of Information Technology, and this is a small tutorial for creating quizzes as one of the most needed activities to me in Moodle for now. Before I show you how to create a quiz in which without problem you can do formative and summative assessment, we need to create categories and subcategories by selecting Administration, Course Administration, Question Bank categories. As you see, the main category in this course is default for test. For this tutorial, I have already created one subcategory, which name is practice. In edit categories, add category, we can write in name field something like practice 1 with or without category info, and we got new subcategory practice 1 in which we may create our questions. Now I will delete practice 1. We can see that subcategory practice already contain 5 questions, but how they are made and what kinds of questions can be made. Once we have the necessary categories and subcategories, we can continue making questions. To start creating the questions, we need to choose Administration, Course Administration, Question Bank options. We can see that there are already created questions in default for test, and we go to practice. By selecting create a new question, we can choose one of more options appear in the choose a question type to add. I will show you several types of questions. Let's begin with a question of type matching. In this tutorial, creating of questions will be explained with already created questions, so I choose edit. Then we choose question name, question text, where we can put images, and in default mark we can choose how many points will bring this question or difficulty of the question, but it can be changed later in the quiz. We must provide at least 2 questions and 3 answers. We can provide extra wrong answers by giving an answer with a blank question. Entries both the question and the answer are blank will be ignored. The other features I will skip. I can create a copy of this question, but I will click on Save Changes. Now we can preview the question. We can answer it. And then submit and finish. Let's see a question of type multiple choice. We choose question name, question text, default mark, and we may choose between one or multiple answers. First we choose one answer only. Then we must provide one true choice with 100% grade, and we can provide more wrong or maybe partly correct choices. Now we click on Save Changes and we can preview the question. We can answer it and then submit and finish. Let's see another question of type multiple choice. We choose question name, question text, default mark, and this time we choose multiple answers allowed. We must provide one or more true choices and must be careful, because the sum of all grades from correct choices must be 100%, and it's good to provide at least one wrong choice. I prefer the sum of all grades from incorrect choices to be minus 100%. Now we click on Save Changes and we can preview the question. We can answer it and then submit and finish. Another type of question is short answer. We choose question name, and in question text we underline the place where the short answer is missing. Then we define default mark. Questions from this type must be precisely defined, and we must be careful if there are more correct options. If that is the case, we need all these futures to be added as a correct answer with 100%. If there is an answer that is perhaps partly correct, it should be added too, such as 50% correct answer. Now we click on Save Changes, and we can preview the question, answer it, and then submit and finish. The simplest type of question is true-false. We choose question name, question text, default mark, and whether the correct answer is true or false. Then we click on Save Changes. We can preview the question, answer it, and then submit and finish. There are other types of questions, but they will be discussed at another time. Now we can create a quiz. We click on Turn Editing On, and then add an activity or resource. From activities we choose quiz, and then add. We choose name for our quiz, and then in timing we define the period when the quiz will be open, time limit for answering the quiz, and what will happen when time expires. In section Grade, we define grade category, grading method, and attempts allowed for the quiz. It is the number of possible attempts for students to answer this quiz. In section Layout, we define question order, whether each question to appear on a new page, and if we choose sequential in navigation method, students can back and answer the questions that they already answered before. This is a new feature from Moodle 2.3 and next versions. Then we choose questions behavior and whether to shuffle within questions. In review options, we can allow students, after completion of the quiz, to review the mistakes, to see correct answers, to see overall feedback, and so on. Sections display and extra restriction on attempts you can explore by yourself. In overall feedback, we can choose grade boundaries between different feedbacks. For example, between 19% and 100% the feedback will be 10. Between 18% and 19% the feedback will be 9. Between 17% and 18% the feedback will be 8. Between 60% and 17% the feedback will be 7. Between 50% and 60% the feedback will be 6. And below 50% the feedback will be 5. Other sections I will skip because they are the same in all activities in Moodle. Then we click on Save and Return to Course. And questions can be added to the quiz. For this purpose we choose already created quiz and click on Edit Quiz, or go to Administration, Quiz Administration, Edit Quiz. On the right side appears Question Bank Contents, and we choose category Practice and select questions that we want to have in our quiz. Then we click on Add to Quiz. If we have big bank with questions, we can add random questions to the quiz. We can change maximum grade and click on Save. Students can now access the quiz and answer it. Once they answer the quiz, students can check the mistakes and correct answers, if it is enabled by the teacher. Once students have answered the quiz, the teacher can choose to see only the overall feedback or the results of all responses. This is all. Thank you for your attention and sorry for my not so good English.